Hey, it's Arlen Tratt from How Nutrition, and I wanted to start off by talking about my dad. I lost my dad around 20 years ago. My dad was a wonderful man, a really hard worker, and unfortunately, my dad ate whatever he wanted. He had no rules around food. My dad used to say that he was always on a diet. He called it the seafood diet. He could see the food and then eat it. And he always seemed to get a laugh out of that. But in the end, he passed away. He was heavy most of his life. He was 5'8". He always said he was 5'8 and a half, but he was 5'8". And he always weighed close to 400 pounds. He went on a couple of different diets in his life, but he could just never seem to keep the food away. I think that is probably something that was passed on to him from his family, from his parents, and following the traits of unhealthy eating. There's a connection. I feel like people have a connection through food. Food brings us places. Our sense of smell can carry us off to another time and another place. Just getting a scent of a certain kind of wine might bring you back to a vacation in Napa. For my dad, it was hot dogs. It was hamburgers. It was the food that he was brought up eating and the food that ultimately led to his death. My health and the food choices that I made were very similar to my dad's choices. Unfortunately, my dad having to die and then 20 years later propelled me into a whole new realm of ideas and fascination around food, an area that I never even wanted to look at because I never thought that food would be the thing that would start to break down my health. And what I quickly realized was that it was the food. It wasn't just, there was a connection between the food and my own health. And this was starting to happen to me in my 30s. So when I was younger, I played a lot of sports. I played soccer, I played racquetball, I played a little baseball, I rode a skateboard. I was a very active kid. And I thought I was invincible. And then in my 20s, I started putting on weight and tried some diets. None of the diets that I tried had any success. I mean, I certainly lost the weight, but the true measure of a successful diet is not losing the weight, it's being able to keep the weight off. So went on a couple of diets. One of the diets that I went on, I'm not going to mention any names, basically stressed eating multiple meals a day and working out 5 or 6 days a week. And I think being on that diet ultimately is one of the largest contributors to my health issues today. Now, I've learned how to control my health issues, but I feel like this diet combined with the kind of food that I ate as a kid created an insulin resistance in my body because of all the up and down eating. I thought my metabolism changed, and the books that I was reading and the health club that I go to, they all talk about 5 meals a day. So you can continuously have your fuel from the food all day long. And I think what ultimately happens when you do that is it creates insulin resistance, which in other words, prediabetes. And from there it's just all downhill. And we have all of these protein bars on the market. We have all of this processed food. And it's really easy to get 5-6 meals a day because most of the meals that people are eating are fast. It took me a long time to come to that realization, but once I did, I realized that I had to put a stop to it. And I don't know if I can ever go back. I don't know if I'll ever be 100% again, but I know that I'm not starving every 2.5 hours anymore. If you're somebody that's starving every 2.5 hours, you need to call me. We need to talk. That's not the way you're supposed to feel. You're not supposed to feel like you're starving and you need to eat every 2.5 hours.